Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, we're back at it on the Harbor Blue truck. Last time you saw this thing, we just set the cab down on it, and I've been working on this thing, getting everything put together. So let's go fill you guys in. Well guys, nothing's really changed out here. Everything's pretty much the same as the last episode, but I've been working on the interior in here. I have the original floor mat laid down, cleaned up and laid down. I have a new blinker switch installed, and I started on some other little things. I can have the seal plates back in and everything like that. Mainly, we got the transfer case shifter in and the transmission shifter in. The hole, I had to cut a hole here in the mat because this was out of the two-wheel drive truck. And that was pretty nerve-wracking because this is an original floor mat. And if you've ever put in the old ones, if you ever put in a new one, you know they just don't fit like the old ones do. Pretty dark in here. Let me see if I can lighten it up just a little bit. And these original floor mats fit perfect, mainly because they've been in there for 50 years. But I wanted to use the original one, and they're very hard to deal with without ripping or tearing them because they're kind of old and brittle. So this one was luckily pretty soft. I got it out and was able to do everything on the floor I needed to. Remember we did the coating on the floor on those little rust spots where we had a little bit of pitting and painted that. But I got the full drive trans tunnel in. And then there's a trim ring around the boot. I bolted that down, and then I used that to cut around the hole. And originally, the boots are under the floor mat. I know a lot of people put the boots on top of the floor mat, and that kind of helps hold the floor mat down. But these old original ones fit so good, you don't need to do that. So I'm going with what the factory did. This is actually the factory hole for the transmission shifter, and then we have the one here for the four-wheel drive shifter. So that's all installed and nice and new. So that stuff's going together. It's kind of slow and tedious. Like the blinker switch took me several hours because you have to rewire the plug and all that. But over here I have a new goodie box from CP Addicts. They get me all my parts for these trucks and have a bunch of the small interior stuff that I needed, just the here and there's. Like we have new window cranks. These aren't bad, but the knob is broken off, and then they put a bolt through it. So went ahead and got new ones with some new knobs. So that all looks nice and new. Got a cigar lighter because that one was missing. Things like that. A bunch of the rubber plugs. These are up here for the shoulder belt harness. That one's missing. So stuff like that. This is for the gas tank filter neck because the old one's all hard. Got a new washer fluid pump. Gas caps for the auxiliary fuel tanks that go under here. I have yet to recondition those, but I got that for those. And I got new switches for the courtesy light, and I also got a new cover for the courtesy light. But another big item is the dash pad. So I went ahead and dyed up a dash pad yesterday, let it cure overnight. So this is originally white. This came from CP Addicts as well. It's originally white, and then I dye it blue. This is I've done this several times on the channel, so I guess you guys can go back and watch that. I did it on the white dually and my blue Sport Custom Camper Special. But this is the stuff I use for the blue. It matches the original Ford blue very good. It's called Shadow Blue. The number's kind of obscured there, but it's Color Coat Shadow Blue if you want to get some of this stuff. Prep work is a big key with these things. You have to really clean, and they have a silicone-based release agent for the mold, and you have to get that off, and then this stuff sticks really nice. So it turned out really nice. So now I got to get that dash pad installed, and then I can move on to get the gauges back in, the gub blocks back in, and the steering wheel back in, because all that's apart, so I can get the dash pad. So once we do that, the interior is really going to start to come together. And then I need to work on the fuel tank, and then get the seat back in, and get that door panel back assembled, and we'll be well on our way for this being a complete truck. And then once we get all that done, the interior, then we got to work on the front end, the engine, fenders, all that kind of stuff. So we still have a long way to go, but at least we're making progress. So I'm going to catch back with you guys once I get more progress done. Well, I got the dash pad installed. These things are kind of a pain. Once you get them kind of in there, they still don't want to set just right, and you have to start putting the nuts on them and kind of start sucking it down. And then it kind of gets formed into the dash. So just kind of a little bit at a time, going back and forth each side, and don't just suck down one bolt and kind of a thing. but it went together pretty good. I'm getting ready to get the rest of the dash all put together, and wanted to show you guys this. I thought this was pretty neat. It had a cigarette lighter, or cigar lighter as they call it back in the day. This one was not factory installed. This truck probably just had a block off plate there, and they wanted to add one, but it just went through the firewall, which is not correct. And I got a new reproduction one, so that it'll look factory. And these trucks, if they did not have a lighter, they still have the wire, the power wire that goes to it. And I was looking for it, and I found it right here. It's tucked up in this wiring harness right here. I just thought that was pretty neat how they, when it didn't have that installed, they tucked it up under here. So that comes out of there, and it'll go right to there to the cigar lighter. So that was pretty neat. If you guys have a truck that doesn't have one, look for that wire there, because that'll power that cigar lighter for you. It'll just hook right up like factory. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna get back to I'm gonna get that cigar lighter installed, get the dash installed, the glove box, and all that, and then we'll get to move on to seat and fuel tank, not necessarily in that order. So I'm gonna get after it. Well, I have the dash all reassembled, and everything as far as the seat forward is ready to go. So right now I'm working on the fuel tank, getting it cleaned up, getting ready to go back in here, and then we'll also be doing the seat. So almost complete with the interior. A few little here and there things to do yet, but pretty much done. You know, got to do the rear view mirror, and I got the grommet to put back in for the seat belt armrest thing that's missing, stuff like that. But overall, the interior is coming together really nice. Have the original blue steering wheel put in there, and the shifters turned out really nice, and as well as this original floor mat. I'm really pleased with how nice this thing cleaned up. Still have to work on the doors, so we'll have some parts to replace there, and get that door panel over there installed, and then the interior is going to be done, and then we can start on the front end assembly over here. So getting ready to work on that stuff, and that'll be a big undertaking. So as always, I'll fill you guys in when I start on it. Alright guys, back working on this truck here. Give you a little update. I have the interior all put together. We have the seat in it now, and as well as the fuel tank, obviously, because that has to go in before the seat does. So we have the fuel tank all hooked up. We have the new hose for the filler neck, and I also installed this tray. This was in the two-wheel drive truck, this cab. This is original to the truck. And I believe this is some kind of commercially made tray. It is not, I don't think it's homemade because it's stamped out. It does have wooden end pieces though, which kind of makes me think homemade, but the way it was fit and finish is so nice. I think it's a commercially made product. And all the goodies that was in it whenever I got the truck is, we're leaving it in there. Got some electrical tape, a flag for if you're hauling something long, some emergency flashers, and a ever-ready flashlight. And also, back here, I'm just leaving it the way it is just because I think it's pretty cool. It's kind of history of the truck. We got a washer, window washer here, and a spare belt, and an Atlas over there. But the seat, you know, we have the original seat that was in the two-wheel drive truck. It's in really nice shape. The Highboy originally had black trim. I believe it would be this 43 number right here. That would be the black trim. It originally had a black steering wheel, black steering column, black dash. I think it had black armrests, and it had a black seat, and just the blue exterior. But since this truck, the two-wheel drive truck, has all these nice pieces, I think it presents well to leave the original pieces in here and keep the blue. So that's just the way I decided to go with it anyway, instead of doing a recover, you know, because you can't get an exact copy of the seat that I'm aware of anyway. So we'd be recovering it black, and you know, I'd much rather have the original. Anyway, I got the seat belts in too. So we have original seat belts that all function. I had to do some repair on the passenger side. It didn't want to retract. I had to replace the retracting mechanism thing in there. That was kind of a pain, but I got it done. So the interior is all complete. Pretty much, I don't think I have anything left to do in there. And I started on the mirror here. So I got the passenger side mirror on, and I installed it the way they were, and I think I'm going to change it. I think I'm going to put these outboard and have the mirror come out just a little bit, just to give it a little bit wider stance, because that's tucked up in there. That's probably more practical because you hit less stuff, but you know, this truck's not going to be going through any brush, I don't think. So we might put those mirrors out just so you have a little bit better visibility. So I'm probably going to change that. I have to do there's still some wet sanding marks on this door here. I gotta polish those out before I install this mirror. Right now I am working on the engine and getting everything hooked up on the engine we need to do. I still have to do the engine harness and the throttle assembly, as well as all the grounds and all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of whittling away at that. I also need to set the distributor. I'm going to set it at about 8 degrees, or that's what I'm going to shoot for at before top dead center, so that when we get this thing ready to fire, it'll start up instantly and we can run it. So because I have to break in the camshaft because it has a new flat tappet cam. I have to break that thing in for about 1500 to 2000 RPM for about 20 minutes. Make sure that cam gets enough oil in it to lubricate itself. I also need to prime the engine while the distributor's out. So I'm going to fill it with oil, spin the oil pump drive, and just prime the engine just so it has instant oil pressure when we start it. Because it's going to be easier to do that before I put the front end on. And then it will be time to start on the front end. I might start on that today if I get everything I need to done up here, because I'm kind of chomping at the bit to get the front end assembled on this thing. But I don't want to rush it. I want to take my time and do everything right. So I'm going to whittle away at those smaller items I talked about, and I'll fill you guys back in when we got something big going on. So let's see what happens. Well, I started working on the front end here a little bit on the truck. Have the inner fender hung and the core support sitting on there. This is kind of just for mock-up to see how things are fitting together. The electric power steering assist is touching the inner fender there, so I don't know if I have something misaligned or if we have to do some trimming there. But it is touching down there and not allowing the inner fender to bow out and be where it needs to be to bolt up here on the core support. On the this core support here is an aftermarket reproduction core support, and this is just the E-coating that comes on it when you buy one new, and it does not match my satin finish I had painted on the inner fenders here. So I kind of figured that was the case, and since I am going to end up repainting this just so it matches, it doesn't look good enough to me to leave it. I think it's just too it just sticks out too much. I am going to add the Highboy radiator supports here. The Highboy had these things right here. I guess it's maybe to stiffen it up. 1-tons have these as well, but I went ahead and cut these out of the core support on the original Highboy truck. The factory core support had rot in it down here at the bottom, but these were good. So I have I sandblasted these. I have to cut the two-wheel drive mounts here off. I had to cut all the spot welds here and this piece down here, and then I'll spot weld these back on, and then I'll scrub all this down, scuff it all up, and prime and paint it. I luckily do have the paint that we use to paint this, so I'll use this on to paint the core support. It's a really tough epoxy primer. It's actually the same stuff that the frame is painted in, so it's really tough stuff. So once I get all that done, I'll show you guys how that turns out. Well, guys, I've been busy working on the front clip on this truck. I just started on the assembly, and I just went to town. This is my first time assembling a front clip, so I'm just kind of taking my time and making sure I get everything assembled correctly and getting everything aligned. Right now, everything's still kind of loose. I haven't done the final fit and alignment yet. Just kind of trying to get everything installed and make sure everything's going to go together and be happy. I did get the standoffs, the radiator standoffs here installed. Got them spot welded on, and we ended up painting the core support. So that's the same paint we use on the inner fenders here, so it all matches now. And that went together pretty good. The spot welds here, if I can show you, down in here. So rosette welds, I guess now, was what they are. They originally would have been pinch welds. But got the fenders hung, the inner fenders hung, the core support all mounted up, and the stone deflector and the upper valence, and just kind of set the bumper on there to kind of get an idea of how it's going to look. The grill is, we're doing a white painted grill on this one, a steel one. It had a few dings and dents in it. I'm taking it to the body shop today to get those knocked out, and then it's already been sandblasted and primed, and they're going to fix those few dents in it, and then we're going to take it and get it painted to match the front bumper here. as well as the rear bumper. So I'm getting that painted as well. So hopefully that stuff doesn't take too long. Kind of procrastinated on that, and I think we're going to be waiting on it because I think I'm going to get everything assembled here and it's not going to be done. But anyway, we'll get it taken care of one of these days, and we'll be able to finish off the front end. But everything's going together pretty good. There's a lot of little things we have to hook up and everything on here. Everything that goes on the inner fenders, the wiring harness, and all of that kind of stuff we have to finish out. And I have a new radiator coming. We'll see that when it gets here. But anyway, guys, for now, I'm just going to keep plugging away at this thing, try to get everything fit up just like I like it. And then I'll fill you guys in when I get something done. Well, guys, I know it probably looks the same, but I've been working on this thing quite a bit. A lot of the little stuff that's kind of hard to notice unless you start looking. I got the heater hoses installed. One neat thing about this is I did source some Autolite branded hose, and I have it tucked up in here just like they have with the clip. And actually, the original two-wheel drive truck had this little aluminum wire tie thingy here that kind of just bends over and ties these hoses together. I've seen some Mustangs, some Concourse Restoration Mustangs that had these on the heater hoses. I think that's original Ford tie there. They used to tie those together. So anyway, I put it back on this just so we have it. Same thing, another original thing. The heater control valve is in real good shape from the two-wheel drive, and it is actually date coded 969. I don't know if that is, I don't think that's like 9 as in August, because they changed over model years in July. So I think that's probably the 9th week of 69 when this was produced. And it has the correct part number there. So pretty neat. We have that original piece there with the correct date code. I'm just kind of geeking out over that kind of stuff. But wiring harness, I got the battery tray installed. I got the voltage regulator and horn. I also have a radiator installed, the new radiator. I have a fan shroud coming. It's not here yet from CP Addicts. So once it arrives, we'll install that for good. Just kind of waiting to get everything fit in there. And all the heater hoses and stuff there, or the radiator hoses. Been working on the Steerman cycle, the electronic power steering, getting the wiring installed. You do have to have a pretty big wire powering it. It's an 8-gauge wire. So I pulled it on here on the starter relay, and here's the fuse. And I snaked it up in under the firewall, so it's kind of hidden. I think on the instructions he has you going on the cowl, but I went under the firewall just so it's hidden. And I also put this old style wire loom. I think it's called asphalt wire loom. Asphalt coated, and it's kind of made of cloth, and Ford uses it in a few spots on the truck, so I kind of hid the wires with that to give it a little more vintage look instead of the plastic wire loom. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I am working on getting the plastic wire loom off, and I actually disassembled the connectors here. So here's the connectors coming from the actual power steering unit itself that goes in the dash for the control box. I'll show you that in a second. So I have those plugs undone so I can snake it through a hole in the firewall right here and not have to make such a big hole, because it is a great big connector. We have that one, and we also have this smaller one here. And you'd have to make a pretty darn big hole to fit this through. So to get it through a smaller hole, I disassembled them there, and we'll snake those through individually and put them back together once they're back in here. Under the dash, I have the dash off again. I shouldn't have put it in the first time, but have the control box tucked way up under here so you can't see it. Once again, in the instructions, I think he has you put it down here by the throttle pedal. There's lots of room down there, but you'd be able to see it if you kind of looked up under there. And I didn't want to be able to see it. I kind of want to leave it looking original, so I tucked it way up under here under the dash. And it's kind of harder to get to and harder to install, but I think the hiding it was more important to me anyway. So here's that connector we have to plug in, and we'll see if it works. Here's the power lead that goes under the dash back over to the fender well over there. And then I got power on the fuse box there. There's some plug-ins there that are switch power. Just tapped into those, and I'll have this little control knob. I have a little thing that mounts it. I'll just mount it right here under the dash, and you'll be able to do your sensitivity or whatever they do, the assist level there, to dial in the steering just like you like it. So that's basically what I've been working on. And I did a little work on the bumper, the rear bumper. I guess I could show you that over here. I'm getting it ready I'm taking it to sandblasting today so they can paint it. I'm going with Corinthian white to match the wheels, and that's what the grill is doing as well, the color for the grill. I had to add on the brackets. I'm not sure what this was on. It's 34 inch. I figured it was a Highboy, but I guess it wasn't, because the end of the frame was like right here, and the holes weren't even close to lining up. So I had to add on to the brackets, drill new holes, and I also added some mud flap hangers. So I should have showed you guys when it was on the truck. I test fitted on the truck, but I have some Montana mud flaps since this was originally a Montana truck. It'll look really nice on there. We have a big drop hitch bumper on it, like these Highboys have, so you can have a hitch at a reasonable height since they sit up so high. But anyway, I'm going to get working on that steering. We'll see how that works once I get it all hooked up. I got to take that stuff to the sandblaster and get it started so they can paint it. So they're going to paint the grill at the same time. Hopefully we get that back within a couple weeks. I'm hopeful anyway. And then we'll have the truck all ready to go. But I think while we're waiting on that, I'm going to get the truck running, break the engine in, and I'll be able to drive it a little bit, at least around the yard and stuff, and see how things are going, and see everything that I missed as far as hopefully we don't have any leaks or big things we have to tear back down. But you know, it's, as any project, especially one like this where you go through everything, you know, it's really important to go back through it and make sure you didn't miss anything, didn't forget to tighten any bolts, or any hoses you forgot to tighten the clamp on and it's starting to leak, you know, that kind of stuff. But that's kind of time consuming, so I think I'll be able to take care of that while we're waiting on the grill and stuff. So anyway, I'm gonna get after it, guys. I'll fill you back in when I got something done. Thanks. All right, well, I got the wire snaked through the firewall there, and the other wire loom put on the wire. I just wanted to show you how it turned out. So here's the wires that we snaked through the firewall here, and here's the pieces of the connectors. So I'm going to put all these back together, and then I'll plug it in, and we'll see how it works. All right, well, I got everything hooked up and gave it a test, and everything's working. So I got the key on, so it's important to have switch power for that, so it's active only when the key's on and not when the key's off. And now we have one finger steering. So it's turning these big old tires nice and easy. And this little dial here adjusts the output. Here, I'll turn it all the way up. Yeah, that is pretty light. Let's see what it's like all the way down. So we'll turn it all the way down. Oh yeah, so there is a noticeable difference there. That is easier than when it was not assisted, at least. We'll see how it drives. So just wanted to show you guys that install there, because I know I have a lot of guys asking me about that. And I'll just continue on and make sure I don't need to do anything else while I got the dash out. And then we'll move on to getting this engine running. Well, guys, I have been busy knocking out stuff and on my to-do list for this truck, getting it closer and closer to being completed. We're actually very close right now. There's going to be a big gap in the footage here, just because I went crazy working on this thing. I didn't really spend the time to pull out the camera, unfortunately. But I'll fill you guys in with everything I've done on it. We still have the grill, and the rear bumper is still at the sandblasting place getting painted. So we had to get the grill sandblasted and primed, and then I had to take it to the body shop and get some dents fixed, and now it's back at the place where it's sandblasted so they can paint it to match the bumper and the front bumper. But anyway, that stuff is still, they're pretty backed up, and it's around the holidays. It's actually New Year's Day right now, so between that and staffing shortages and them just being busy in general, you know, they're kind of a backlog of getting stuff done. But they said hopefully after the first of the year they'll get it taken care of for me. So hopefully, I'm really hopeful that that stuff will be, because that's the big major thing I'm waiting on right now. I guess I could still drive it, but you know, I'd have to have some lights for it to be legal. You know, I kind of don't want it to be illegal when I'm driving this thing for the first time. But anyway, I did get the engine started, so the engine is running and broke in. I got the cam broke in. It's kind of not as scary because this is just a standard replacement 360 cam, so it's not a wild lift, you know, big lift kind of a cam. On those more hot rod cams that have a lot more lift, or maybe even dual springs on the valve springs, they want you to take the inner springs out of the valve springs, and it's a real finicky deal to get that cam, that flat tappet cam, broke in correctly. But this one, I think it's still recommended to do it, but I mean, it's kind of, some people don't even mess with breaking them in and they're just fine. But anyway, I got this thing running and I held it up at about 2,500 RPM for about 20 minutes, just to make sure that cam has good oil going to it while it's getting broke in. And everything seemed to be fine. It's truck's running great. I guess we can do that first, since that's kind of a big part of the truck, is hearing the engine run for the first time. So we might as well dive right into it. It is dead cold. I have not started it actually in a couple days, so we'll give it some choke, and we'll give it a couple shots of gas with the throttle. See if she'll fire off for us. Yeah. Usually a couple shots with the accelerator pumps gets them to fire off pretty easy. So it's running really nice and smooth, nice and quiet. Got the exhaust out here. Anyway, if you guys talk me into it, I might take it for a drive here around the shop and show you guys how it's driving. But under here, everything I've done, kind of all the little things I've been working on. The washer bottle, got that hooked up, and the hoses and everything for that. Obviously, the power steering, we did that earlier in the episode, but it's all complete. All the wiring and everything is as it's going to be. So I got that all final installed. It turned out really nice. There you can see the lines going to the under the dash unit. So it has that old style wire loom cover on it to give it kind of an older look. So it's a little more hidden. You know, that plastic wire loom kind of stuck out in the engine bay, I thought. And here's the power lead going to it with the fuse and everything. Got the battery tray and everything installed. This is actually Autolite battery. It's just a cover that goes on top of a 24F battery, and it's made to look like an old school battery. So got that in and the hold down and everything there. So it's really turned out really nice under here. The fan shroud, here's the fan shroud I talked about earlier in the episode. So got that from CP Addicts. They get me all of my reproduction parts for these trucks. And obviously, I guess we have the hood installed. So I don't have it perfectly aligned just yet, and obviously don't have the hood latch and stuff on it. I'm gonna wait until I get the grill and everything installed there, but we still have a little bit of work to do on the alignment. I got it pretty close, I guess, but there's still a lot of little tinkering I need to do with it because it's not perfect yet. But that will be, I'll have to have a day where I'm feeling nice and patient. See, this one's a lot, it's too high up and the gap's a little bit big there, but we'll get that figured out. Like I said, one day when I'm feeling extra patient, I'll start tinkering with the body lines and stuff, because that stuff takes up a lot of time if you're being really careful, which I'm going to be with this. So anyway, the interior is all done as well. I think it was pretty much done the last time you guys saw it, but dirty from my feet getting in here and driving the thing. But the interior is really nice in this truck. Probably one of my favorite parts about this truck, just because it's original. You know, the dash pad isn't original, but everything else is original. I just love low mile trucks and the interiors on them, because they just feel different to me anyway. That, you know, just having the way they feel, the knobs and just stuff like that, the way the factory put them together, they feel really good. I'm sure some people can make a fully refurbished truck look just as nice as a factory one, or fit and finish wise, but for me, it doesn't get any better than a low mile truck cab. And the way this door shuts, you know, you can't get that. You put new weather stripping in it and you're going to be fighting that, but just shutting like that perfect every time. I just love little things like that. So, you know, it does have the original 50-year-old weather stripping in it, but it is in nice shape. It doesn't have any rips or tears, so it's still doing the job. And it does make the door shut nice and easy. So overall, I think it's pretty much done, except the rear bumper. I still have to do the rear bumper, wire up the tag light and stuff. That's why that wiring isn't tucked up yet, because I still have to do that. I have the I don't know if I mentioned this, but I have the saddle tanks installed. So there's a saddle tank over here, and there's one over here as well. So saddle tanks tucked up under here. on the exterior of the frame. They have these bolts here that go up through the bed right there. So those were original to the two-wheel drive truck, so I left them in there. And we have the switch here for the fuel tank. So and that's all functioning. I got that all fixed up. Let's see if I can show you. Here's the valve and the line going to the tank over here, and then the line going to the tank over there. So there's a shot of the exhaust. I don't remember if I showed you that yet or not, but just a single tailpipe out the back. Originally these trucks would have been 2-inch tailpipe, so goes into a big muffler like this one, and then 2-inch out the back. So it's 2.5 in, 2-inch out the back, which I never really liked that, so I went ahead with 2.5 out the back on this one. But yeah, like I said, we're pretty much done with this thing, short of the grill and a little bit of hood alignment. So I think I have the engine bay all finished up and everything. Brakes are all bled and all of that, and so really it's just waiting on the grill and stuff to get back. And I think we're gonna do a once it's all finished, I'll do another episode kind of giving you an overall of the truck. So basically I've been kind of waiting on in this episode till I got the grill back and stuff, but it might be a few more weeks, so I thought I'd just go ahead and finish this video off for you guys so you guys can see an update on the truck, because I know a lot of guys have been asking about it. So anyway, guys, before we end off this episode, let's take the truck out of the shop, give you a nice walk around of it, and do a little bit of driving with it, show you guys how it's driving. We're obviously not going to do any hardcore driving, because for one, we don't have a hood latch, so that hood's going to fly up, and for two, we don't have any headlights, turn signals, all that kind of stuff up here. So anyway, we'll just go drive around the shop and kind of do a little driving video. The thing drives really nice, the little bit I've driven it. Of course, barely get out of second gear, but anyway, we'll give you guys a sneak peek at how that's driving, and just give you guys a walk around of it. So let's get it out of the shop. All right, like I said, this thing starts really nice, and the alternator gauge is working. So a lot of times those things are non-functioning on trucks, so I like seeing that working. Another thing, I did get the brake light working. I'll have to show you the brake differential light there. That there's a block under the floorboard here that the brake lines go to, and if something's wrong with your front and rear brakes, it moves a little valve in there and turns this light on. And a lot of people think it's a light for the emergency brake, but it's not. It's actually for that brake pressure differential valve. And when you start the truck, it completes the circuit just so it tests the light, so you know if it's working or not, and it should go off. So got that all working. So turn the key on and start it, the light comes on, and then it goes back off. So that's how it should be working. But anyway, let's get this thing out of the shop. Back it out of here nice and slow. I really like how nice and quiet this truck is, which that's the way I built it. So some people like big loud mufflers, but on this nice stock truck, I thought a nice quiet muffler would be in order. Another thing, the steering on this thing, it just makes driving an old Highboy really nice, because that is one thing that's bad about the old Highboys. There's no power steering. It's just one finger steering. Sounds like I didn't get the door over there shut last time I had it open. There we go. Nice and quiet. The clutch is really smooth on it. I'm really happy with the clutch. And then the brakes are working fantastic as well, which I guess they should. They're all new. We'll go down here and we'll give you guys a walk around of it once I get it down here. So yeah, the thing drives awful nice. It's looking really good. Obviously going to look much better when we get the grill and everything on it, but so far it's looking great as is. and really happy with how it's turning out, the stance of the truck, and just general overall how it's turning out. So I hope you guys are enjoying this truck too, and I hope you guys are liking the way it's turning out. So anyway, guys, we're going to call it quits on this episode. Next time you guys see it, it's going to be 100% done. I guarantee you that. And hopefully you guys won't miss that. Hit the subscribe button so you can see when that happens. Give me a thumbs up if you like this truck and like this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.